Hi everyone, welcome back to the Power of a Hobby. I'm your host, Dom Fenton. Well, yes, we had a break, but now we are back and I'm delighted to welcome our first guest of the new series, I suppose. So, hi Kelly, how are you?
Hello, I'm really good, thank you. You?
Yes, very good, thank you. It's great to have you here. So, for those who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people what you do?
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly and I am a deputy manager full-time in a nursery, and then part-time I take part in photo shoots.
Amazing, thank you very much. So Kelly, first question. What does the Power of a Hobby mean to you?
It's a way to improve my mental health, a chance for me to be creative, and my hobby, I guess, has shaped me into being the person that I think I always was. I just didn't have the confidence to be.
Yeah, we spoke about this quite briefly off air, and for those of you who listen into this, you know what I feel about hobbies, and yeah, I believe that actually hobbies really do shape people, and actually they develop the person who you are, and actually there's always a part of your hobby inside you. Would you agree with that?
I think it enabled me to have the self-confidence to be me. I think I've always been the way that I am, but not in public, sort of with my friends or with my family. Whereas doing the photo shoots, it gave me that confidence to be me.
Yeah, perfect. And that moves brilliantly on to what your hobby is. So Kelly, for those who need some more help and support around what your hobby is, why don't you tell people what your hobby is?
So my hobby is I take part in photo shoots, which technically means I am classed as a model. Can't stand the term though. I don't like being labelled as one. I just do photo shoots. I don't like the stereotype label that comes with it. So it's just, yeah, I do photo shoots.
Right. So photo shoots, not being a model, but doing photo shoots. Mm-hmm. How do you want to tell people how you got into it, when you got into it, why you got into it?
So photography has been something that I've always been interested in. I'm quite an active social media user. I follow a lot of like bloggers, and I follow a lot of travel bloggers. And in the last sort of 5 years, I really enjoyed travel, and I really enjoyed the images that they were taking, and it kind of inspired me to want to be able to do that. And it was probably in, oh, did I go?
Yeah, but you're back now, that's fine.
Oh, my phone was having a moment. So, sorry.
That's fine, no problem. No,
it was during lockdown when obviously everyone's just thrown into isolation. I lived on my own at the time, and obviously I needed to keep myself busy. And I thought to myself, oh, I want to be a photographer. I want to try and pursue that kind of interest that I had. I didn't have any equipment. I didn't have anything. And then when it got to the stage where you were able to go and meet up with someone socially distanced, I took a friend out and just took photos. Or I just used my phone just so I could sort of have a practice of like editing. I could practice sort of directing someone. And while I was there, I would sort of demonstrate some poses for her, and she commented that actually I should be in front of the camera. So I don't know whether she meant that my photography skills are rubbish or not, but she said you should be in front of the camera. And then but then I sent her some photos, edited, she posted them. A couple of my friends then said, can I come and do that? So I did it with them, and both of them commented the same thing. So I contacted a girl that I know who does photo shoots, and I just said to her, like, how do I go about this? And she directed me to a Facebook group, said, post some images of yourself and you should have people that will contact you. So posted a few pictures of myself. I kind of said, I don't really have a clue what I'm doing, but here I am. And people contacted me, and it was like a Wednesday night, and I did my first shoot on the Friday. And I went into it with no expectations. I did, I wanted to be a photographer. I didn't want to sit there and be a model in front of a camera, but 2 years down the line, I'm still doing it. So every cloud.
And I think this is the beauty of what we talk about a lot, and we talk a lot about this because obviously, why don't you mention what else you've been doing? Because I think this fits in nicely with what the stuff that we've done together and other things as well.
Yeah, so we actually met through my mental health campaign that I launched back in May, which was called Our Stories and Our Words. And through like the photo shoots and the platform that I do have, I posted an image last year for Mental Health Awareness Week, and it received a really great response. And I've suffered with mental health, as you know, as I spoke about in the campaign, for a number of years since I was a teenager. So I kind of wanted to use the opportunity that I had on that platform to give something back, really. And I kind of came up with the concept of what I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the self-confidence in myself that I'd do it justice. So I waited till the beginning of this year, and I was like, no, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go out there. And obviously that's how I met you. And yeah, we filmed the campaign. It was telling everyone's stories about their own experiences with mental health, and the video was released on YouTube. We raised money for charity, and we actually raised £950 for mine. So it was a surreal experience. There was so much interest around it. I was in newspapers, I was on the radio station, I was on billboards. I mean, all from a little idea I had in a notebook back in January. So it was it was definitely a surreal time, but it's thanks to my hobby and that platform that I've created that I was able to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And you went into your hobby, but wanting to do it from the other side of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's then given you the confidence to go, or someone said, actually, no, you need to be the other side of the camera. I'm sure it's not because your images weren't very good.
No, do you know what? I will, not to blow my own trumpet, I can take a decent photo on a camera if someone gave me a camera. I was on holiday recently and I'm snapping away all the angles. I could do it. I just don't have the equipment.
But even just that, the confidence it must have given you through your hobby, but then to also, because we've had a lot of discussions around the campaign and the big build up, and I think our first conversation we had, I was sat we just finished a session, and I was sat in my car, and we ended up being on the phone for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but that's like a recurring theme whenever we talk.
Yeah, this won't be that long. But again, I think people can see the passion that comes out in you, in whatever you do, and I'd like to think that would be part of the fact that your confidence has grown through the photo shoots. So obviously no expectations, and we've had a recent discussion about this as well. So how are you feeling about things now?
Do you know, it's been, obviously, like I said, I went into it with no expectations. As we've spoken about with like mental health and stuff, if I looked at myself back then when I did that first shoot and how bad my mental health was to who I am now, I, in all honesty, owe everything to that hobby, because like I said to you, it did save my life. I did. And I think now I kind of went through a stage last year. I was so busy with the shoot. It took over my life. It weren't a hobby. It was just taken over. And I was like, I need to find a balance between it. And then I kind of took a few months break, and then I started doing them every now and then. And I kind of have felt a bit lost the last few months with it, and in the sense of, I think there is a lot of competition out there. There is a lot of pressure as well at times. So it's kind of taking that step back and figuring out where I want to go, what direction I want to go in with it. And I think now I'm in the mindset of I actually want to make something of it, as opposed to it just being a hobby.
Yeah, because I remember we had this discussion probably only a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah.
And you were very, and that's the first time I've heard you go, actually, no, I want to do something with it now.
Yeah, no, and I've actually been applying for like castings now, whereas I've always been very reluctant to do that kind of stuff, to put myself out there, because as you know, I'm quite feisty, and if someone said something to me, I'd probably bite back. So but I'm going to give it a go, see how it goes.
And I think that's the amazing bit, that actually, you know, if people hear me talk, similar to you, my hobby saved my life. And I do public speaking on that. I do a talk on that. It's amazing actually how hobbies, whether as children or whether as adults, can have such an impact on people's lives.
It is, yeah. I mean, if I kind of go back to when I first did the shoot, like at the time, like, I mean, I've suffered mental health, as I said, probably like I said in the campaign, probably since I was about 12. And obviously there's times where it's good, times where it's not so good. And sort of during the lockdown, those first few weeks, I was like, I can't do this. I've never had to be on my own before. And then after a couple of weeks, I loved it. I loved lockdown. I was happy, you know, and whatnot. But when I started the photo shoots at the time, I was in a very abusive relationship. My mental health had hit absolutely rock bottom. Like, I was having daily panic attacks, my anxiety. I was living on eggshells. I was not in a good way at all. And I signed up to that because that meant it gave me something that was mine, and it also gave me hours to escape what was occurring. So I went along to that photo shoot, and I was anxious as anything. I was like, they're going to laugh at me. They're not going to think I'm good enough. Who on earth do I think I am, thinking I can go and be a model? Because that's the terminology that they use for you. And I went along and I had my hair and my makeup done, and I got to the location and I felt free. I didn't feel anxious for a few hours, didn't have a panic attack for a few hours, and I just felt that the only way I could describe it is free. And that buzz that I got from that feeling is what made me then book the next one in, and then the next one. And then after a couple of them, it was the creative side of me that then started coming out, because I am a creative person. So I would, you know, and I'd like to think that if you went on my Instagram page, or anyone that's worked with me, I hope that that kind of reflects upon the work that I produce, because I do put my all into it. I spend a lot of time and effort into what I do create. So but when I look at my images, I don't look at myself in them thinking, oh yeah, she looks really good. I look at the creative side of it, you know, the outfit, the location, the whole progression from when I did my first shoot to how I do them now.
And I think that's really, really important. And I think the fact that I'm trying not to just smile the whole time.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we'll do that. Actually, this is going on film. No, I'm not doing that. It's fine. But it's that bit of knowing your story and seeing how far you've even come since May. You know, and we've only known each other a short time, but as you said, when we do talk, there's no stopping.
No, I mean, I look back on them first pictures, and obviously unbeknown to everyone around me, that was the worst time of my life, darkest time of my life. And I look at them pictures, and I can see how unhappy I was. And you wouldn't see that. You just look at, there's her posing in a photo shoot. But I look at myself now, and even like the last few months, and I can just see I look different. I look happy. And, you know, like I said to you before we came on here, obviously, you know, like I said, I was in a very abusive relationship. And when that ended, my mental health got to a point where I didn't actually want to be here anymore. It was, for me, I felt that was easier than living through what I was living through. So I had, you know, I attended counselling. I was put on a suicide watch. I had an absolute mental breakdown, which I've acknowledged in my mental health campaign. And, you know, I'm not ashamed to admit that, you know, and I needed that support. So I had my counsellor once a week, and I was, you know, she would sort of encourage me to book photo shoots in a few weeks in advance, because I made a comment and I said to her, I need to stay alive because I've got a photo shoot this weekend. And you know, I look back now and I think it's crazy that I cared more about letting down a stranger than I did my friends and family. But she used that and she was like, right, why don't we book another one in? Let's think about what else we could do. And all them people that I worked with in those first few months, they wouldn't really know the impact that it had, but it saved my life. If I didn't have them and I didn't have that counsellor, I would not be here today. So for me, I think that's why I wanted to do the mental health campaign, because this opportunity saved me. And if I can produce something that could potentially save someone else, then that's more than I could ask for.
And already we know that actually from that campaign, it's already helped people. Yeah.
You know, I'm my own worst self-critic. And the night that it came out, I cried my eyes out. I said, it's not good enough. What I've done, I've created this big hype. It's not good enough. People are going to be, it's rubbish. And like my friends will tell you, I was sitting there literally just crying. And it was probably about a few days or even a week later, I got messages from people who said, you know, thanks to watching your campaign, I've now gone and accessed support for my mental health. So, and I had a handful of people message me, but they're the only people that I know of. There could be others out there who've watched it. It's just those that actually directly contact me are the ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and I can guarantee there will be others, because obviously you know what I do, you know, and the fact is I'm very open about struggle. You know, I'm writing a number of blogs at the minute about certain things that will go live soon. But actually, if we can share what we do, and if we can speak openly as much as we can about things, because obviously what we don't want it to do is take us back to where we were, but actually what we can do is be proud of where we've got to.
Oh, 100%. You know, I post a lot of like reels and stuff of little video clips. That I posted one the other weekend because it was my 2-year anniversary since my first ever shoot. And, you know, where I've been having that little block is actually when I've looked back at the clips of, you know, the behind the scenes stuff. I like to shoot a lot of behind the scenes stuff, because I think if you kind of just look on an Instagram page of photos, there's that assumption that you'd probably look at it and think, gosh, she's vain. She thinks highly of herself, doesn't she? It's just hundreds of pictures of her. So I really, really strive hard to not have that stereotype label by showing me as a person, by showing my personality, by showing the behind the scenes of what isn't a glamorous lifestyle. I don't want people thinking it's some amazing glamorous thing, because it's this. Anyone will tell you photo shoots are not glamorous. But yeah, I posted this reel of all these little clips, and actually when I look back on things like that, I realize how happy it makes me. And I think that's in itself, if this never went anywhere, I'm not expecting myself to be on XYZ, but that in itself brings me happiness. And for a long, long time in my life, I didn't have that. So I will cling on to what is making me happy. Like I put in my bio, do more of what makes you happy.
And that's the absolute truth. And I think as well, if you find the right hobby, it's there to make you happy.
Yeah. I think sometimes you kind of get lost in it, and you kind of get that. Like I went through a stage being so busy, I kind of just lost track of why I was doing it. And I was just constantly trying to be better than what I'd done before, and actually just thinking, just take a step back and get that buzz back that you feel when you do them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important bit, is it is that taking a step back, because I think anything that you go through, or whether you lose yourself in your hobby, whether it's whether you're in a relationship breakup or a divorce or a job redundancy or a fallout with friends, whatever goes on, it's because you're so within it, it's very hard to see through the trees.
Yeah, and that's the exact same how I felt during the campaign, because I was so obviously intensely involved with, you know, the planning and all of the other stuff. It weren't until weeks after it had come out, where I weren't doing anything for it, that I actually acknowledged it. And I remember messaging my friends and I was like, I did it. I actually did it. And they were like, we've been telling you this for weeks, but because you're so intensely involved, you don't see it. And I just sat there thinking I weren't good enough. What I'd done weren't good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important bit for, you know, for anyone listening to this. This is a real story. This is a real life. Actually, these struggles are real, and people might hear this now and be going through that. But
if you're struggling and you find something in life that makes you happy, it gives you that sensation, then continue that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
whether that,
yeah,
like for me, gives me a chance to be creative. I mean, I work in a nursery with 3-year-olds, so yeah, as much as you can be creative there, it's a little, you know, my stickmen drawings at work are very different to dressing up and making costumes and doing what else I do for the photo shoot. So there's a big contrast.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really important bit, you know. And if people are hearing this, reach out, drop us a line on the podcast, because again, we have people who can support. You know, we talk every day in our own jobs and what we do about that. Actually, it is important to reach out, because actually, without reaching out, you won't, you know, you wouldn't get the help.
No.
You know, I
think
know.
It's you know, having people being open about it. I mean, the first time I really publicly spoke about my mental health was when I started the photo shoots, because people started asking me why I did it, and I just said for mental health. But it weren't until the mental health campaign did I actually really expose the real answer as to what was going on. But it's important that, you know, having people that are open and just saying that I've been there, I've done that, and there's nothing to be ashamed of for that. I'm not going to be ashamed for, you know, having a mental breakdown, because look at what I've done with that. You know, your life can turn around, and, you know, things do get better, and they can get better with the right support.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Right, final question before I let you go. If there's someone listening to this and going, I haven't got a hobby, and I don't know, I want a hobby, but I don't know where to start, or I'm not sure, what would you say to them?
Don't know. Find a hobby. Depends what it is, doesn't it? I think find something you're interested in and then go from there, really. I mean, I'm interested in travel. I'm interested in, like, being creative, and I kind of morphed them all and when I stood in front of a camera.
Yeah, no, completely agree. So if you are listening to this, you know,
if you are listening to this, don't listen to what I just said, basically.
No, but it's fine. It's something that you want to do. Find what you're in, because generally,
I think that it's finding something that makes you feel empowered.
Yeah.
Something that makes you feel confident. Like for me, I've stood and done a photo shoot in public in the middle of the street. Doesn't faze me. I've walked down Colchester High Street dressed as the Corpse Bride, painted blue. Don't care. Doesn't bother me. But then last week I had to do a speech at work in front of like 12 people, and I'm standing there like this, scared as anything. Public speaking, no. But make me dance about and be painted and do whatever else, I don't care. So it's just finding something that makes you feel confident. Yeah, no, love that. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. Oh, is that it? I could have still talked. It's only, we've already been going around 20 minutes. Right, we'll have part 2. Do you want? You can come back. Oh, you're more than happy to come back for a part. Yeah, we'll see if everyone wants me to come back first. We'll definitely do a part 2. Kelly, thank you for your time. To everyone listening, it's great to be back. We will be doing these monthly. So again, go and check out the site. Go and make sure you're following the podcast. If you've heard this and you are struggling, please reach out. Please get in contact with support services. Drop us. Or you can watch our mental health campaign. Yeah, well, exactly. Our stories in our words. Yeah, we're going to do that in a second. We are going to. We can. It's been an amazing time actually meeting Kelly, because of what's gone on and the campaign. It was a privilege to be asked and to be involved in it. Kelly, before you go, where can people find your reels, your Instagrams? Where can they find the mental health campaign? So my Instagram is Miss Kelly Maria. That's where you'll find my portfolio, my behind the scenes, my reels, my craziness, or my mental health campaign is also on my Instagram, or you can watch it on our YouTube channel, and the channel is called Our Stories in Our Words. There's the main campaign video on there, and there's also a video that I released telling my own story in more depth.
Amazing. So everyone, go and check them out. Go and give her a follow. Go and show your love to her. She's an amazing young lady, and she is even though it's her birthday this week.
My birthday on Friday.
It is your birthday Friday. She's still young. She's still an inspirational woman. So go and check her out. Go and show her some love. And we'll look at bringing her back for part 2. So we'll stop the recording.
Thank you.
See you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye.